Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. How was your day?
It was a day. It was a day. Mixed results overall. Down in this Topstep XFA, up in a personal account. Probably overtraded in this Topstep account. Definitely overtraded in this Topstep account. Was up on the day, gave some of it back, but up on the personal account today. So mixed day overall. But how was your day, Coach?
Slow. I only made two trades. I want to throw a shout out to Coach Hu. I traded some natural gas and made my day. But overall, a very disciplined, slow day for me.
Good
But I
stuff.
think I missed a lot of opportunity.
There's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. But welcome everyone to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we could take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay. I've been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some of my experiences and some wisdom and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Coach Paul. D Trader wants to know, did I catch the ES trade I put on in the evening session? So I actually canceled that trade. I got long gold last night before we got off of, right after we got off of slow markets. And we'll talk about the S&P, but it looked way too heavy to be buying it. Way too heavy to be buying it. Just went ahead and canceled that trade. And it was a good cancel because I would have gotten stopped out on that trade. Ultimately, I got stopped out on some other trades that probably weren't as high quality, but here we are. Let's take a look at the news. We do have some earnings coming out right now. AMD and Supermicro SMCI are reporting their earnings. AMD earnings are out right now. Let me see if I can pull up a trading view chart so we can take a look at those. But
AMD earnings adjusted $1.20, estimated $1.17.
Yep.
The revenue
you're breaking up there, Coach Paul.
9.25. Uh-oh.
All right, try it again.
All right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right, yeah, the AMD adjusted earnings per share was $1.20, which is a little bit better than the estimated of $1.17. On revenue, that beat a revenue of $9.25 billion, estimated $8.74 billion. So some good news from AMD.
Looking pretty good there. Let's see if we can get this AMD chart up here. 1 second. Transition. Enhance. Transition. All right, there we go. AMD chart up here. You can see the reaction here. If you're wondering why we look at these, especially AMD, SMCI, we know that NVIDIA is the big one that everyone's paying attention to. But, as these big tech companies report their earnings, we'll see the equity markets move as well. Pretty big knee-jerk reaction here to AMD. Looks like a $13 range on that release. Does look like favorable earnings. But AMD pretty much trading right where it closed. Let's take a look at a higher time frame chart. Not near all-time highs. We have seen some of these stocks report their earnings, make all-time highs. Microsoft did recently. What else did I think we saw Amazon as well report their earnings, make a new all-time high. AMD trading right below its all-time high, but kind of looks exactly like a NASDAQ chart, especially with this gap fill. AMD hasn't filled it yet, and maybe not after these earnings. Let's take a look at the SMCI chart. SMCI, not as much of a good reaction. SMCI earnings per share came in at 35 cents. Estimates were 41 cents. Net sales came in at 5.02 billion. Estimates were 6.09 billion, so $1 billion short on their estimates there. Sees Q2 adjusted earnings per share 46 cents to 54 cents. Estimate was 62. And we can see that reaction to SMCI here. selling off, trading $44.55. I'll get the weighting for these companies in the NASDAQ. Again, they are heavily weighted in the NASDAQ and the S&P. So as some of these stocks go, and maybe not so much SMCI and AMD, but the NVIDIAs, the Apples, the Amazons, it's why we report on these earnings and gives us a little foresight into what might be happening in the markets. Anything you got on these earnings, Coach Paul?
Not really. No, I had nothing to add.
There we go.
One was friendly and the other not so friendly.
Yes, it was.
It would be neutral market-wise.
Absolutely. So let's get back to TopstepX here. As far as news goes today, the real news is that we've tied the longest government shutdown in history. Tomorrow will be the official longest government shutdown in history in the U.S., which kind of concerning for all of our government workers and things like that. We've heard all the flight delays and everything that's going on, people not getting paid. And it doesn't sound like it's stopping anytime soon. Outside of that, I don't really have too much news to report on, Coach Paul. Do you see anything in the news that you want to talk about, or should we get into the charts?
There was an off headline. Actually, I saw it in Reuters.
Okay.
The CEO of Morgan Stanley and one other large brokerage banking giant warning about sky-high valuations.
Interesting.
So I don't have the headline now, but I saw it earlier. That's the first time. That's concerning if I'm long. This isn't someone on Twitter giving their opinion.
Right.
This is the CEO of Morgan Stanley. So take it for what it's worth, but I rarely see headlines like that. I'll search. If I can find it, I'll give it to you.
You mean we can't keep passing around billions of dollars for AI investment?
I can't. Maybe you can.
It's maybe a little bit concerning as we scroll down and see another $60 billion from Microsoft in investment. So, yeah, maybe we are getting a little bubblish, but we'll see. Let's take a look at the quote board. 36 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts. And today, to the downside, we had copper down 2.74%, micro Bitcoin down 6.25%. It did trade under 100,000. Bitcoin itself traded, spot Bitcoin traded under 100,000 as well, trading 100,128 right now. And micro Ethereum futures, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 11.3%. 11.33% in micro Ethereum. Crypto taking a little bit of a hit right now. Is it just a pullback? Is it a correction? Is it a bear market? Who knows? That micro Bitcoin chart, the first daily close, we'll just do a quick analysis of this one. We talked about this yesterday, and I said, hey, maybe I want to buy it here. I tried to buy it last night, took this trade off for a scalp, and said, okay, this looks heavy. This is the first daily candle close under the 200-day moving average since April 10th. April 10th. We have not had a daily candle close. Bitcoin, I think, is red on the year at this point.
Yeah,
looking pretty heavy.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday. It was basically unchanged.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Bitcoin is, I think, officially red on the year here. Seeing some heavy selling again, testing that 100,000 level. Let's see what happens there. To the upside today, we had natural gas up 1.17%, wheat futures up 1.2%, and heating oil up 1.37% for our biggest percentage mover to the upside. To talk about our big four, we had crude oil down 1.15%, the S&P down 1.2%, gold down 1.75%, and the NASDAQ down 2.13% for our biggest percentage mover in our big four. Let's pull up, actually, we made it a big five now, didn't we? Natural gas.
Yes.
Let's take a look at natural gas, up 1.15% on the day, above that trend line that we talked about, trading above that trend line, holding it, did come down, take a look at it, and up 1.15% today.
So the buyers must have been listening to At the Buzzer.
Somebody's listening. Somebody's listening.
And if they did, I would hope they have hit the like button.
Absolutely, right? We do this for free. All it costs you is your time, your attention, and a like or subscribe. We appreciate you being here, though. Edgy Invest says our concern about Bitcoin sitting over that 200 moving average was kind of right. Yeah, it wasn't it right? And it really depends on you as a trader what trade you take here. But that 200 moving average, we know that there's going to be a reaction here. Either the market's going to bounce, which is done 1, 2, 6 times. We counted it. Or, how many times does someone knock before you let them in the door? And if we mark out that 200-day moving average and we go down to a shorter time frame, we look at the 30 from last night. Same thing we kind of do all the time, right? What is the market's response? We never really we saw price push above that 200 daily moving average, but we never really saw volume get going outside of that 30-minute range. And this was just a nice sell once it started going. And this is the definition of flow, right, Coach Paul?
The absolute definition. Let's go back to last night's action with the half hour. When we were talking, you said the price didn't, but volume didn't. Volume in the VWAP. But what's interesting, the highest volume, the first, there was the opening, and we traded, we drifted higher, still below the 200. But when the biggest volume came in, the first big wave of volume, it was a sell volume that took us out of the opening range.
This one
now,
here.
That's a tell. So when we framed that out, because 5 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Central time, just a random time for Bitcoin, and it's traded 24/7. So looking at that was the first half-hour bar with at least 100% of the average volume, and that set the tone. So when we deal with these 24-hour markets versus equities, it's good to see that or look for that. It can come at any time. At this time, what time was that? Like midnight?
This is midnight Eastern time, 11 p.m. Central, going into midnight. Yep.
So let's go through the process. Large selling came in. Biggest volume in the night, which was over the average. Big point. It was over the average. It was probably double the average. That's the first tell.
Yep.
And we could not, it was liquidation after that. I believe that was right under the 200 daily moving average, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah, that's that white line I have on the chart here. That volume stepped in right at that 200 moving average, got pretty aggressive, and we saw it last night, right? Volume was trading above there, price tried to look above, but this is a market that's in a downtrend, right? And we are under that 200 moving average on the 30-minute. We came up, checked the 50, and then once that aggressive selling comes in, that's okay. Like you said, Coach Paul, that's the show of hand, right? This is what I have. This is what I'm placing bets behind, and they sold it the rest of the day and got more aggressive. We can see the volume got more aggressive as the day went on, pushing into that major 100,000 level. So really nice trade there in micro Bitcoin. Really nice move. Again,
well defined.
Well defined, and kind of starting with that 200-day moving average, right? We know the market's going to do something here. And like I said, I tried to buy it last night, took this trade for a scratch, because it's important to know when your analysis does not align with what the market is saying. Can keep you out of some trades. When we try to hold on to what we think should happen, that is one way to end up with a red day. Sometimes, you get the direction right. Shout out to MP. He was short the S&P earlier. We're going to get to the equities in just a second here. He was short the S&P earlier. And he said, it's a tough trading day where the market's doing exactly what you wanted to, but we don't get to choose how it does it. And, I think probably ended up back to scratch. I think he did on the day because he did get short again. But it can be tough where you get the direction right and the market stops you out. But let's take a look at the equities. Taking a look at the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ specifically, because the S&P filled the gap in the overnight session. The NASDAQ was the last one holding on to hope that we were not going to fill this gap, and it did it today. We had that last week Sunday opening gap that we had not really even tested in the NASDAQ. And today was the day. We got under that 200 moving average yesterday on the 30-minute chart. Actually, let's start with the daily here. What are you seeing here on the daily, Coach Paul?
We're testing the 20-day moving average. I think it was the almost to the tick low.
We traded lower than it in the S&P and the NASDAQ. We didn't trade it. I have it at 25,393.
Okay.
Low of this session was 25,525. But yeah, that looks like the target.
Well, let me ask you, is that a 3-bar reversal on the daily?
Is it a 3-bar reversal? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, right. 1, 2, 3 here. Yeah, I guess that is. I guess that is.
Now, what I found interesting, and it was, and as far as information, is we struggled to find the key headlines, right?
Right.
And we had the biggest down day we've had in a couple weeks, without any key headlines. And we had this large candle, down candle, with no really reactive buying. I mean, we're still almost making new lows as we speak.
Right.
That's not, that's concerning to me if I'm long. It's all it filled the gap, yes, but the way and the fashion it did it today without any real big headlines. That's just kind of, to me, that looks like profit taking or liquidation.
Yeah, it looked like, okay, well, I guess there's no reason to buy this, so sell it, right? We really didn't get any news. Really didn't get any news, but some of the Mag 7 were down pretty big. You know, we could look at specific stock news, but I didn't really see anything, like you said, to really cause this. And they just sold it. Shout out to Jordan Main. Jordan last week said, "Mark my words. I think this was going into FOMC day. We're going to have a 1,000-point red day on the NASDAQ." Jordan just said, "I wasn't quite right, but 600 points, give or take, is still a nice pullback." Do you consider this a necessary pullback in this market, Coach Paul? Or is this a change of structure?
Not less. The first point for me is close under the 20-day moving average.
25,392.
This is a correction, a nice, maybe it is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But it would, and I would say if there was some event, that caused it, but we didn't have an event. And then in those headlines we see from Morgan Stanley saying high valuations, kind of, I don't see it as a sell or take profit if I'm a long-term trader, but the structure or the plumbing was not good.
Yeah.
We go to the half hour and watch from last night's open.
Let's take a look here at the half hour. Genius Monkey in the chat saying, "I think Palantir earnings call fueled the sell-off. I think people started to price in the AI valuation." I mean, at some point, the market's going to realize, like, hey, maybe we were a little high on AI, and not to say that it's going anywhere, but can we get too overly optimistic about the next new thing? Right? It was the metaverse. What happened to the metaverse?
I think you just coined the phrase "high on AI."
Run on AI highs. AI highs.
You heard it here first, folks.
Right.
Coach Jay.
But here we go. I mean, put this in the dictionary under urgency. Here's the first 30-minute opening range, something that we look at. It's the Globex Open. Shout out to anyone who's a new viewer. If you're a new viewer of At the Buzzer, let us know where you're watching from in the chat. But we got under the 200 moving average yesterday, Coach Paul. We talked about this one. What is going to be the market's response to this 200 moving average? Is it volume? Does volume trade above it? We opened up for the session last night and volume said no. We don't even want to go test it price-wise. After the first 30 minutes, we had VWAP and price closing outside of that 30-minute range, and we never looked back. Now, this is what we call urgency. Are you looking at your trades for a trade opportunity? More often than not, at this time, I'm probably making dinner or figuring out dinner plans. But maybe I should have been on my charts because that was the best trading location for the day. But one thing we do talk about often, Coach Paul, is that when we see this urgency happen so early in the market, it's usually the trend for the day. And that trend never broke today. We tested it, but it never broke. And I think that's a good enough sign where even if you're coming in for the New York session and you quote unquote miss this trade, if a tree falls in the forest and you're not there, do you hear it? Does it make a sound? Right. If I'm not at my desk for this trade, I can't look at this and say, hey, I missed the best trade opportunity. Right. When I open up my business for operating hours, what is it telling me? And this sell opportunity here. Anyone see where we rejected? It's measured from the high to what was the low of the day, right back to 50%, right back down. So go ahead, Coach Paul.
Great point. And coming into this after last night, you just mentioned it. You have to take it into context where we are.
Yep.
You weren't in on that. Now, that's a new day really starts in U.S. equities when New York opens up. But what I found, what I still think is a warning sign to longs, we broke like that last night without any key headlines.
Yeah.
It's like someone knows something and doesn't say it. Like
chat is saying it in the chat. Michael Burry, he's short. What is he short? He's short Palantir and Nvidia, I think. Pretty big positions in both. Maybe it's Burry. Are we gonna make a sequel? Are we making a sequel?
Where's he short from?
Yeah, who knows?
But this, just technically speaking, speaking of price and volume, this is out of nowhere at night. We get some urgent selling, which lasts through Europe. We get a pop in New York and either some profit taking or bargain hunting. When we'll go into the 3-minute now. And we had some, to me, it was more like bargain hunting. Hey, it's on sale.
This was an aggressive bounce. This was an aggressive rally. This is 200 points to the upside in the NASDAQ in 30 minutes, where, if you came in, and this is why, we could have an idea for where we think the market is going to go, but you got to have a trade set up, right? If you came in and just shorted this right away, Coach Paul, if you didn't take profits quick, you were right about direction, wrong about location and timing. Real Robo caught that long. That's a great trade. We were down just about 1.5% at that point. The market tried to push below the low of the day. Tried to push below the low of the day. Couldn't do it. Held the candle that made the low of the day and then turned around. That's a great long, right? Because now the question is, if we go regular trading hours, are we filling this gap? Right. So really, really nice trade there that you caught. If anyone got short there, we talk about it. We've mentioned it a couple of times, maybe not swimming in front of the shark, where the market's already down 1.5%. Sometimes you're going to just see it gap and go. But a lot of times it's, hey, can I get better trade location? Ingenious Monkey just said it in the chat, half of the gap. Is that where we stopped? Close to it. Close to it.
And also in that context, when we opened up, we were at the daily ATR support, which we had taking the settlement, subtracting the average daily true range, which brought support at 25,671. I think the low at that time was 665. It was right there. So
663.
we
Yeah.
had um now that's before we opened that's that gap.
Right.
So to me, I just kind of ruled out selling.
Mhm.
And we did get a pop off that opening range trade. Um, but this is another concerning situation for ownership or for longs.
Yeah.
How much time you had a big discounted price, and some people took advantage of it, right? But time wise, it spent what, less than an hour in that value, which
Yeah.
was, I believe, the first hour's value range, and collapsed, and then continued.
Yep. Yeah.
This is not. It's not.
On no
That is.
news. On no news, right? So
Yeah.
what is bad news due to this market? Maybe we get good news, right? Also, we are zoomed in because we have to talk about day trades here because we're day trading with Topstep accounts. This is still technically a market that's in an uptrend. Back to that daily.
Yep.
Let's switch over to the S&P really quick. What's the low of the day? 20-day moving average, which we haven't tested in just a little bit after having a gap up. So this is technically still a market that's in an uptrend. One of the things we talked about during the opening call, Coach Paul, was this October 10th tariff tantrum candle that we had. The high of that candle is 68.0650. This is the October tariff headlines. And one of the questions we had was, do sellers take control here? Or is this just back to an area of demand where we found buyers buy before? And if you look at the S&P really didn't do much today. We traded down into that area. We tested the candle, but for the rest of the New York session, we just stayed here. So that 20-day moving average, still supportive, still a market that's in an uptrend. We could very easily be talking about all-time highs next week if we get some good news in this market. But I think necessary pullback with the potential to be a structure shift, like you said, if we close below that 20 moving average.
All right. What did
Anything?
Rusty do, or in the Dow?
Let's take a look at the Rusty, which both of these markets closed those gaps earlier. Honestly, kind of feels like the Russell is the leading indicator. I know everybody hates it, but it's trading through halfway through that October 10th candle where everything else is kind of still holding up above it. We're trading through most of it, right at 50% of it now. Taking a look at the Dow, everything else holding that 20-day moving average for now. The Russell is below that 20, and this is what it would look like, right, Coach Paul?
And below the 50.
Right, correct.
And curling, yeah,
interesting.
feeling heavy. It
Feeling
still
very
feels heavy. Like I said, it was kind of a sneak break. Like it was said, if we were to talk yesterday that NASDAQ would be down 500 without any major news, probabilities in our mind would be negligible, right?
Right.
And we're seeing that in all these markets. I call leaking lower.
Yep. Absolutely. Dow testing that 20-day moving average as well to the tick. So all these holding up for now. We'll see what the rest of the week brings. We still got 3 trading days left in the week. Feels like it's been a week already. Let's take a look now at gold. Another one looking heavy. So just, we talk about the test of the 20-day moving average because all these markets look very similar. Test of the 20-day moving average a couple days ago in gold. Then we get the candle close below it. Then we get consolidation in this. And now are we going to be testing this 50? And kind of looking at the same thing in the equities, right? A test is great.
Yep.
If that test doesn't bounce, then what's the next? If we get a candle close, okay, now the next target is likely that 50. And then we'll talk about what happens from there. But Looking at gold here, Coach Paul, what are you seeing on the daily?
Struggle, struggle to hold value. And oh, there's the VWAP from the breakout.
Yep.
We're holding that, but we're not really bouncing off of it well. I think tonight again it becomes a very important Shanghai Open. If we get continuation and look at on these since that high, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 trading days. Look at the volume on the highest volume are all by far selling.
Yep.
So let's extrapolate from that. Who are they selling to? And what are those sellers getting for it? I mean, those buyers getting for it?
Whole lot of nothing right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a change. It's a change of ownership. They're still in strong hands. But these strong hands have not been tested like this in 6 months. And even with gold, last night we had the same kind of flow. Early selling off of Shanghai, I believe, again. And we're just not right. It's just not holding value.
No, it is not. No, it is not. Who said this in the chat? Uh, Dan says gold 30-minute 200 moving average. Chat, what is that white line? What is that white line, chat? Here we go. Did we ever get volume to trade above it for the day? Pretty aggressive open, but VWAP stayed below this 200 moving average for the rest of the session. It continued to reject up at these prices. I'm trying to think. Well, I was getting long with Dakota last, during slow markets. There was a couple decent trades up into this 200 moving average, but that had to be the target, right? We were getting long. This had to be the target because what did volume say? Volume is, and the reason I did like the long was this first 30-minute candle, Coach Paul, was such a big range, right? We're talking
Yes,
about a
it was.
20, almost a 30 point range, $30 range. VWAP took forever to leave that range because it was going to need a lot of energy to do it, right? So I'm okay taking longs off the low of this range because VWAP is still technically in the middle and didn't leave the range yet. But I have to have a reasonable expectation for the trade. And if volume, and we say it all the time, if volume is not trading above that 200 moving average, that's telling me that I want to be short, right? Price could trade above it, but if volume is not trading above it, then I don't want to be in up here because it's kind of thin. I might be one of the only buyers. And that's what we saw today. Really nice. Bink says no one knows what that white line is, but it gets the people going. And it got the market going. Every time we rejected up there at that 200 moving average, just a nice opportunity. And then we get the volume to come in for the New York session, and that was it.
Wow, and see that's what I'm saying. It's liquidation to me. This is coming on. Look at it. We tested it, but volume doesn't go through it, and it can continuously longer term. We get more selling. We're going to need some kind of volume rally that takes out 2 or 3 days worth of trading
What
to
doesn't at this
change
point?
this. Can that happen? Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah.
But for me, otherwise, I think we just keep leaking.
Yes, we do. We closed below that VWAP from, and someone said your anchored VWAP looks different than mine. I have it set to default settings, I'm pretty sure. Open, high, low, close divided by 4. Maybe it looks different because yours is green and mine is red. But that's really the only thing. Also, make sure you zoom out, right? So I just anchored, for example, I just anchored this one to this daily here on the daily. But if I go to a 3-minute, it's going to move it. It's taking into account the visible range for the market. So what I do is I zoom all the way out and then zoom back in. and it'll put it in the right place. But yeah, holding, well, not still kind of holding, closing below that VWAP from September 2nd. Let's see what happens here because gold might have some more room down. That 50-day moving average is at 38.74. We're not even testing the 20 anymore. Is that the next spot we go to? We will see. It's less than 2% away. Gold was down almost 2% today. So ACH. I agree with you though, Coach Paul, that that Shanghai Open 8 p.m. Eastern time is going to be interesting to watch for sure.
All right.
We got a request to look at silver. What the heck do we draw here? What's going on here? All right, let's take a look at the daily. Oh, this was silver. That's why.
Silver and gold.
Remember this guy?
Bart.
We are at that neckline.
We're at that neckline and back under the trend line. That's picking up some momentum. And look at the volume.
Wow, interesting.
Light volume break.
Yeah, I did not expect that. Pretty Girls Love 420 in the chat says, I got short today. Nice trade. Silver down 2.5% today. What were you seeing there that you got short? Really like that trade. We're under the 20, above the 50, which it looks like we're getting ready to test. Broke that trend line that we talked about, Coach Paul. We used it as a resistance pretty much on the open. Wow. Hell of a trade. You ever just do analysis of the markets, Coach Paul? You come back and you're just like, well, yeah. The analysis made sense. What did we do? We broke the trend line and we went to the neckline.
That's why we review. So we have an idea of our game plan and how to execute it.
Yeah.
Let's look at the half hour on silver.
Let's look at the half hour.
Also, there was urgency.
For our friend in the chat, P2K, is he not going to trade today? I did trade today, but if you're wondering if I'm going to place any trades in this account right now, don't hold on for hope. The Topstep accounts do need to be closed right now. All your Topstep trades need to be closed by 4:10 Eastern time. So we're just doing a market review here. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining, first of all. We appreciate you being here. But we do this every day, 4:15 Eastern time, doing a little bit of a market recap, kind of prepping us for tomorrow's trade by reviewing what happened today. But no trade's going to be placed right now. I do have a personal account that I can trade, but there's 8 minutes to go in the market. I'm definitely not placing any trades right now. But thanks for joining. And like Heather said in the chat, hit that like button. Do us a favor. We appreciate you. Here is the 30-minute Coach Paul on silver.
We're under the 2. We're under that. Now, wow, I had a big range on the open last night.
Just like gold, yeah.
And that was selling. So now it never recovered from that. As a matter of fact, very much like gold. This is liquidation. To me, silver looks even worse than gold right now.
Yeah, it does.
You can't find any volume buying. So what I mean that on the daily, we talked about it's less than average volume.
That's the weird part.
Okay. So you would expect if there was some buying, there would be buying volume to buy value. This is off of all-time highs. It's as if the headlines came in, all the last buyers came in. And the value would be, okay, well, buy lower than them. And to buy it, to me, this volume should be much larger.
Yeah.
So very heavy action in silver.
Very heavy. And if we start to get closes below that neckline, we are maybe talking about another 50-day moving average test, 45,739 right now. Just looks like a good logical target for here. So nice trade to those of you that caught that short. Silver can be Silver can be an expensive market to trade with Topstep accounts, $25 a tick, but you can trade the micros, and it is a mover, right? So we talk about it all the time, 36 different markets to trade. Am I going to trade silver? Probably not. If I'm going to trade the metals, I'll probably go over to gold. But if it's presenting opportunity and you can take advantage of those opportunities, continue to do so, because there's no right or wrong way to do this as long as we manage risk. Anything else on the metals you got, Coach Paul?
With that said, with silver, when I first started, I was in the silver, marking the prices on a board.
Okay.
It's 1980. The last time silver traded $50. I was at the exchange, Chicago Board, across from the Chicago Board of Trade, the Mid-America Commodity Exchange. It was the original mini contracts exchange. The volume on that exchange exploded by multiples because it was 1,000-ounce silver contract. The COMEX silver contract was, I think at that time, was 7,000 ounces. So basically like 12% of the size. Here's why the volume came. No one could afford to trade the large contract. The margin was too high. The ranges were too high for that size. So if you're going to trade silver and you don't think, well, they're micros because of the word micro, you're not measuring risk properly. You could have a great strategy for trading it, and now you don't have enough cushion to withstand a loss. In other words, you have to be right. Where if you're sized upright, you're trading right. Just the silver, if I'm going to trade silver, it's going to be in the micros.
Yep. And there's a question here. Speaking to that, Sanders says, been entertaining silver micros lately. Not really an issue with the XFAs because they're sim accounts, but I'm somewhat worried taking that to live. The order book looks light. Is that the wrong perception? Not at all, right? If you're trading a market that you haven't traded before, knowing what the liquidity in that market looks like is extremely important, right? Because you want to make sure, especially if you're in a live account, that you're going to be able to get filled reasonably on your entries and exits. For just example here, the micro silver contract today traded 49,000 contracts. Platinum traded 17,000. Something like the Nikkei traded 5,700. So, or cattle, for example, traded 30,000. So there's decent liquidity in that market. It is going to look a little bit thin. You look at something like heating oil as well. Those are pretty thin trades, traded 27,000 contracts today. So it's something, but I think you're making the right decision there with going with the micros. Coach Paul, do you think about that often if you're trading micro silver, the liquidity in the market?
Oh, always, wherever I'm trading. Now, it's relative too. That market in the micro silver is measuring, well, let me bring it up. Here we go. Silver's at $46, $47 an ounce.
Right.
So in the market making versus when it was $20 an ounce, it's not going to trade every tick. You'll find liquidity at wider bids and offers, which is not because there's less liquidity. It's the price of the market is much higher than when it started, was designed for. So one of the ways I would look at is start on the bid, right, with a one lot on a micro and start bidding all the way up and see if there's hidden liquidity. I'm pretty sure you'll find it. So when I'm saying, so let's say it's 427 bid at 28. It's a penny wide. It seems very wide. But if I start at 27 and go 27.10, 27.20 bid on a one lot, I'm pretty sure I get filled at 27.50.
Gotcha.
It's there. They're just not putting it out there because they don't want to get picked off. So on sweeps, and I don't want to go too deep into it,
Yeah.
but if I can't do it for like 10 ticks, then I'm not trading it. So if I'm going to find out, I'm going to find out cheap. So
There you
great
go.
question.
Good question. I want to give some shout outs here. Heather paying herself, taking a small payout. Small is better than no payout. Says got a tiny payout today because I blew my last ones. So I said small is better than none. Thank you, coaches. Thank you, Heather, for joining us each and every day. Telling people to hit that like button, and shout out to you for paying yourself. Also, a great filibuster in the chat. Took a payout. Requested my first payout this morning. Can't believe how far I've come since the dark days. It makes it worth it. It makes it worth it, right? All of the stress, the you know long nights and all that stuff that we do when we get to pay ourselves, it's a great feeling. Also, it's validation of the work that you do, and motivation to continue trading forward. So your first payout, congratulations to you and anybody else who's taken a payout, paying yourself from the markets, whether it be with a Topstep account or a personal account, even if you're trading somewhere else. Shout out to you for paying yourself because it's a very difficult thing to do. I'm sure everyone saw some stats floating around social media, because there's always shit floating around in social media. Uh, but
The nature of the beast.
Right. But shout out to everyone paying themselves. JD in the chat says, I have so many questions about market making. Ask away. We'll see what we can answer. Get my market making friends on this on the show. But will the Shanghai Open be 9 p.m. Eastern or will it be 8 p.m.? Shanghai Open is going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time. 8 p.m. Eastern. What else do we got in here? Saw something else that I liked. Oh, Harrison. Shout out to Harrison in the chat. Says, Jay, I had a banger trade on Platinum a few weeks ago because of you. Harrison, I cannot take any credit for your trade there. You clicked the button. I have not even been looking at Platinum. So maybe something I said a couple weeks ago brought your eyes to it. But at the end of the day, you as the trader have to identify an opportunity and execute on it. So shout out to you. Again, that's our goal here. We give out information. I don't want anybody to ever trade like me. I want to everyone to trade like themselves and see opportunity wherever you see fit. Because if Jay one day is not on Topstep TV, and we don't plan on that happening for a little while, but if it happens, take the information and do what you will with it. And that is ultimately the goal here. Doesn't matter how much money I make or I lose if I can't help you make any. So if you like that, hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate it. Coach Paul, any other? Oh wait, crude oil. How can we skip crude?
And
how can we skip crude?
People are hating on crude.
I'm people. I'm people.
Okay, person.
Here you go. I'm giving this one to you. What are you seeing in crude oil?
Give me the tough ones. I understand. We're right back. It was still in the range. The weakness today, we got to close over the 200 moving average. Not much to do there. Trade the range. Still trending lower though. So let's look at the half. Anything that I'm not seeing?
We held VWAP from the low. Which is right around that $60 level. We talked about this during the opening call being a good and here, we make jokes about it. Crude's not moving. We're actually going to take a look at natural gas. But crude was a good opening range trade today. If you look at the 5-minute opening range, we were busy, and I think all of us on the opening call are just kind of over crude. But if we stuck with it, was there a 2-to-1 trade here? Here's the candle. So the way we've been taking the opening range, and here's the 5-minute opening range that the chat votes for all the time. The way we've been taking it is a candle close outside the range. Risk goes on the other side. We'll go with the Coach Paul suggestion of looking for a 2-to-1 on this trade. We didn't get a 2-to-1, but you got pretty close to it. So this is another example, because I'm sure there's a trader out there that is a crude oil trader and maybe looks at this market every day. I had to tell my VIPs this today. I don't care if no one else is talking about the market that you're trading. We're trading futures markets. So there's somebody in the world trading it. You might not see them on a stream. You might not see them posted on Twitter. Somebody asked if we could look at the 30-year bonds. We don't even trade 30-year bonds on TopstepTV, but somebody's out there trading it. So whether or not you have a friend on the battlefield in the crude markets, it's still a good trade. I personally just don't have the patience to trade it, but Coach Paul might be in there with you. And here's a great trade on a simple analysis that we do, that 5 minute opening range breakout that turned out to be a 2 to 1. And once it confirmed, the trade was pretty much a one directional move. Now it took 3.5 hours, but if that's the market you want to trade, trade it.
Did you want instant money?
Instant oats, just add water.
Instant, just put it on and it doubles your. But yeah, that's what we were living in a dream world.
Right.
But nice trade there.
It's a great trade. Let's take a look at natural gas. Let's take a look at natural gas. Pod Trade says, instead of the orb, can we try previous day value areas for these opening trades? We could. You know, JD, Hogue, and I, we meet every once in a while to talk about, you know, how we're going to execute these trades and things like that. We could look at it. I think the reason we really like that trade is because it is a simple trade idea, but, you know, we're not against making adjustments. Coach Paul, other energy market, we talked a little bit about natural gas. Let's take a look. What are we seeing here in nat gas? And then we got a request for the 30-year as well.
A little continuation of this correct. I would still call it correction, a rally. We're extended above, but volume is just picking up. It's gaining some momentum and some buyers. We've broken out of that range. We did that yesterday when we closed outside of the range, and we had continuous buying today. Looks like it has a good probability of continuing to at least test the 200-day moving average.
We are about 7.5% off that 200-day moving average. Nice trade here in natural gas. If you look at what time is nat gas open? Same time as crude?
Yes.
Same time as crude oil, or like we like to say, when the volume starts picking up.
Yeah.
We saw the volume pick up at 8:50 Eastern time, which is this candle right here, buy side. This is a market that's kind of in that uptrend. Here's the crude oil opening time. We don't have volume leaving that range to the downside. Price does. Checks into some high volume. Nice trade here. Nice trade here. Man, there's so many. Yeah, above the 200 on the 30. Looking good here. You want to look at the bonds real quick?
Yeah, let's look at let's start with the daily because it kind of tells the tale. What are we testing?
50-day moving average after we got under the 20. This is kind of what we're looking for gold to do, the equities to do potentially if we get a close. But here we go.
So it's holding it. Right here, good chance of turning around. If we can get over yesterday's high, and we're still in a bull. I mean, it's still a bull market, albeit a really kind of weak moving. This isn't a gold rocket ship. This is, the summer lake waves lapping on the beach, but still rallying. Let's look at the half hour.
Let's look at the half hour. I got a question in the chat. Is there a video to learn value areas? Join Coach Ray's Discord classes. He records every single one of them. He puts them in the coach's library in Discord. Make sure you check those out. That is how Coach Ray trades. So make sure you check those out. 30-minute chart here.
Okay. We just said we bounced off the 50. We're holding value down there. And let's look tonight. We get above that 200 with volume. If it can't get volume, let's say, and it breaks out early, has urgency to the sell side, that's the way I would go. So it's making the challenge to turn this around, this correction.
I know we don't talk too much fundamentally. Fundamentally, is there a reason for this to rally?
I don't know.
Great answer. That's the answer I was expecting, to be honest. I don't know.
If I tell you what,
It
if there
could.
is and it's value, it'll show up in what?
Volume.
Volume.
There we go. There we go. You don't have to know. Coach Hoop says if equities weaken, maybe we will see.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Holding that 50-day moving average. That was a trick question, Coach Paul. I knew what your answer was going to be.
you were challenging me, and I was kind of perplexed. Like,
Yeah, he's like, "What the fuck are you asking me?
yeah.
Why are you asking me that?" Did everyone else see Coach Paul's face? I don't know if it was just me. I'm like, "Oh, Paul, it was a joke. It was a joke. I'm sorry. Are you asking me to be an economist right now? I don't want to hear that. I'm a trader."
Yeah, I'm a trader. That's how other. I don't want to think that way. I
Right.
got hurt. You
Oh, yeah.
stymied me.
I hear you. Yeah. Put on my trader hat every morning. Put on the trader hat. All right. Cattle. One more here. Shout out to Coach Hoop. Another market. What happens when we cross below the 20 moving average? We got a test of it on the daily. Then we got to close below it. We got to close below the 20 and the 50 at the same time. Looking pretty heavy. What's the next visual target here? Not saying that it's a guarantee we get here. Coach Hoop just said it in the chat. What would be the next visual target on this chart? And I think maybe an obvious, maybe not so obvious answer is this white line here, this 200-day moving average, which we haven't tested since March.
And we haven't closed unders this year, I don't think.
Under the 200? No, you're right. We haven't. Haven't closed under the 200 this year. We haven't closed under the 50 since April.
Okay.
This is looking pretty heavy. One of the better trades that I took today, should have been one of the only trades I took today, was a cattle short. Perfect example here of take your analysis and apply it where it fits. Do I suggest trading all 36 markets? No. I didn't look at the 2-year futures today. We could trade them with Topstep, and somebody might have traded them. But I'm not going to look at all 36 markets. But I do recall Coach Hoop continuing to talk about this cattle market. So I just pulled it up. Just happened to pull it up this morning. And it's like, oh, I've seen this before. Where have I seen this before? Where have I seen this? It's a market that's under the 200 moving average on the 30-minute. It's under the 20 and the 50. Where have I seen this before? When I attach VWAP to this, can anybody tell me the one word that is going to describe VWAP when I attach it to this candle? What word do we use all the time? And it's a characteristic of the market, which helps with getting into this trade. What's that word for when we attach VWAP here? What is it going to look like? There it is, Courtney. Urgency. We left immediately and never looked above it. Now, I'm going to say I cut this trade off in this consolidation because it looked really good, and then VWAP flattened out. And I'm like, okay, I'll take the 30 ticks for 2 hours of work. I think I cut it off somewhere around here. But it sat in a consolidation. Now, I don't know what this market is going to do for the rest of the day. And could it have been a set and forget trade? It probably should have been, in hindsight, obviously. But did I get a 2-to-1? I think I got a 1-to-1. I did not take this on a 3-minute. I took this right after the break. So sometimes we wait for candle closes. In this case, I took this right on the break of that range. Risk goes above the high. Didn't get a 2-to-1. Got about a 1.25-to-1. I'm okay with that. I don't trade cattle all the time. It's not something that I'm, again, I pulled it up for a quick trade. It presented an opportunity. I'm taking it. And then, damn, should have fell asleep because it presented a great trade. But again, I don't know that this is going to happen. Now, does it have the potential for this to happen? Absolutely. Right. Look at the daily range in cattle. $4. Is that how we quote that? Right. Today we had above average daily range, and there was urgency. So in hindsight, this was only a quarter of the daily range. There was way more room here. Did I get a little bit impatient? I did, but I'll take the $300 with a little bit of impatience and then looking at something else. But this is, if we just took the price axis off this chart, Coach Paul, Does it matter what market this is?
No, put a line chart.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? And that's where we get to where again we talk about the markets from our technical perspective, but I really believe, especially if your strategy has anything to do with reading the flow of volume, uh, there is no market that you can't trade. Now, understanding the pace of the market may be different. Cattle is $10 a tick. Yes, $10 a tick. Uh, Understanding the pace of the market is a thing, right? Where how many of us are comfortable sitting in a 3-hour NASDAQ trade, right? We want NASDAQ, we trade it because it goes fast, right? I want to go fast. But in cattle or corn or the 30-year, the setup may be the same. The one thing you have to adjust to is the time it takes for that setup to play out because of the liquidity in the market. But it's a great mover. And Dan again asked the question here. Have you noticed that cattle moves mostly between 11 a.m. and 12 noon? A lot of the time it does. When we were doing that Thunderdome segment, and we could see it even here, right? When did that volume start to pick up? It got aggressive early, sat in a consolidation, and then this is 11:30 Eastern time. The volume starts to pick up. I have realized that that does happen a decent amount. Look at this volume spike right here, right after 12 p.m. Eastern time. Coach Hoop just said cash updates then. So maybe could this be a trade where, hey, if I don't get anything in the morning, right around 12 Eastern, switch over to a cattle chart and then see maybe this is my opening range and take a trade from there. A ton of opportunity in a bunch of different markets. We spoke about a lot of them today. Coach Paul, we are also above time right now, but this is a fun session to do all
Well,
the time. So anything else you want to talk about?
no, that was a great example in the fatted calf there. Um, of really, it's price and volume
Hmm.
in time. Every example that we've gone through today had those elements.
Yep.
And then when we do this review, we're reviewing, but when we find patterns, your
Yeah.
job as a trader is to find an edge and execute that edge. Develop a plan that executes an edge in whatever market it is, and be consistent. And with that, plan your trade your plan, and you'll get on the road to success.
Awesome stuff, Coach Paul. Shout out to D Market Soccer D in the chat says time of day is a level. Really understand what that means. Coach Hoop just said it, like the Shanghai play. Uh, when we see the volume come in for the Shanghai Open in the metals overnight, when we see volume pick up for the middle of the day in cattle, those are patterns, right? The same way people look at, oh, here's a doji candle or a hammer candle or a head and shoulders, flying pterodactyl candle, whatever you want to talk about, right? The markets repeat over and over. And then, like Coach Paul said, it's our job to have a plan, game plan for trading it and execute from there. I think that's it, though. I think we did it. Great session
Uh,
as always. Thank you all for asking questions, being here, asking great questions. Again, the questions you guys ask carry the conversation. So we appreciate you all being here and hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. We got more stuff for you on Topstep TV, starting with Discord, actually. Coach Robert is doing a class in Discord right now. After him, Coach Hoop is doing a class at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Then we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern time. Dakota with Slow Markets. Shout out to Dakota getting back into a live account with Topstep. Slow Markets at 8:30 Eastern. Aaron with the London Open, 2:30 Eastern time. D with the Euro Trade, 4:30 Eastern. And then we're back for the opening call tomorrow morning, 8:15 Eastern time, 7:15 Central. Uh, all with the intentions of helping you become a better trader. We appreciate you all being here as always. See you all tomorrow. Trade well, manage your risk, and we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.